Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 1. Arjuna Uvacha. Evam satata yukta ye bhaktas tvam para upasate ye chapaksaram avyaktam te samke yoga vitamaha. Word for word translation. Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna said, Evam, thus, satata, always, yuktaha, engaged, yea, those who, bhaktaha, devotees, tvam, you, parupasate, properly worship, yea, those who, cha, also, api, again, aksaram, beyond the senses, avyaktam, the unmanifested, tesham, of them, ke, who, yoga vitamaha, the most perfect in knowledge of yoga. Translation and purport by His Very Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? Please repeat. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? Purport. Krishna has now explained about the personal, the impersonal, and the universal, and has described all kinds of devotees and yogis. Generally, the transcendentalists can be divided into two classes. One is the impersonalist, and the other is the personalist. The personalist devotee engages himself with all energy in the service of the Supreme Lord. The impersonalist also engages himself, not directly in the service of Krishna, but in meditation on the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested. We find in this chapter that of the different processes for realization of the absolute truth, bhakti-yoga, devotional service, is the highest. If one at all desires to have the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he must take to devotional service. Those who worship the Supreme Lord directly by devotional service are called personalists. Those who engage themselves in meditation on the impersonal Brahman are called impersonalists. Arjuna is here questioning which position is better. There are different ways to realize the absolute truth, but Krishna indicates in this chapter that bhakti yoga or devotional service to him is the highest of all. It is the most direct, and it is the easiest means for association with the Godhead. In the second chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, the Supreme Lord explained that a living entity is not the material body. He is a spiritual spark, and the absolute truth is the spiritual whole. In the 7th chapter, he spoke of the living entity as being part and parcel of the Supreme Whole, and recommended that he transfer his attention fully to the whole. Then again, in the 8th chapter, it was said that anyone who thinks of Krishna at the time of quitting his body is at once transferred to the spiritual sky, to the abode of Krishna. And at the end of the 6th chapter, the Lord clearly said that of all yogis, one who always thinks of Krishna within himself is considered the most perfect. So in practically every chapter, the conclusion has been that one should be attached to the personal form of Krishna, for that is the highest spiritual realization. Nevertheless, there are those who are not attached to the personal form of Krishna. They are so firmly detached that even in the preparation of commentaries to Bhagavad-Gita, they want to distract other people from Krishna and transfer all devotion to the impersonal Brahmajyoti. They prefer to meditate on the impersonal form of the Absolute Truth, which is beyond the reach of the senses and is not manifest. And so factually, there are two classes of transcendentalists. Now, Arjuna is trying to settle the question of which process is easier and which of the classes is most perfect. In other words, he is clarifying his own position because he's attached to the personal form of Krishna. He is not attached to the impersonal Brahman. He wants to know whether his position is secure. The impersonal manifestation, either in this material world or in the spiritual world of the Supreme Lord, is a problem for meditation. Actually, one cannot perfectly conceive of the impersonal feature of the Absolute Truth. Therefore, Arjuna wants to say, what is the use of such a waste of time? Arjuna experienced in the 11th chapter that to be attached to the personal form of Krishna is best, because he could thus understand all other forms at the same time, and there was no disturbance to his love for Krishna. This important question asked of Krishna by Arjuna will clarify the distinction between the impersonal and personal conception of the Absolute Truth. Arjuna uvacha evam satata yukta ye bhaktastvam parayupasate ye chaksaram avyaktam tesam ke yogavitamaha. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect? Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? So, as Srila Prabhupada is saying, this is a very important question. So, we saw at the end of the previous chapter 11, the last verse 55 in the last paragraph, Prabhupada is saying that about the universal form. I'll just read it. In summary, the universal form of Krishna, which is a temporary manifestation, and the form of time which devours everything, and even the form of Vishnu, four-handed, have all been exhibited by Krishna. Thus, Krishna is the origin of all these manifestations. It is not that Krishna is a manifestation of the original Vishvarupa or Vishnu. Krishna is the origin of all forms. There are hundreds and thousands of Vishnus, but for a devotee, no form of Krishna is important but the original form, two-handed Shyamasundar, which we have here in Vrindavan on the altar. And every day, especially during this Chandan Yatra, he's been looking so very beautiful. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that those who are attached to the Shyamasundar form of Krishna in love and devotion can see him always within the heart and cannot see anything else. One should understand, therefore, that the purport of this 11th chapter is that the form of Krishna is essential and supreme. So now that Prabhupada is establishing that Krishna has a form, he goes on into this chapter entitled Devotional Service. Actually, this is the cream of where Krishna actually wanted to go with Arjuna. So the first 6 chapters cover karma yoga. And so in karma yoga, knowledge is given of how to become a good karma yogi. And eventually you'll land up becoming a loving servant of Krishna. So in the conclusion in this first 6 chapters is the verse 927. This is the basic conclusion. Yat krosi yat asnasni yat juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi konteya tu kurshva mad arpanam. So this is a conclusion for the first six chapters. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So, and then the last 6 chapters are the Jnana section. And still, the ultimate conclusion of all cultivation of knowledge and philosophical understanding is to know the absolute truth, which is not a concept. The absolute truth is a person. So, in the conclusive verse for these last 6 chapters, does anyone know what the conclusive verse is? No? It's 719. Bahunam janama ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvam iti sa mahatma sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is action and knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. And then in there's also a conclusive verse on Astanga Yoga. And that verse is number 647. Yoginam apisarvisham margatenatar atmana sharavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mataha. And that says, and of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, he is the most intimately connected with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. So, throughout the Gita, Krishna is bringing the conclusion of what we're actually supposed to be. And these processes, the first one we discussed, both actually, the jnani and the karma, it eventually brings you there, but it's so much trouble for each one. You know, you won't get to the conclusion for some time, as the verses say, but devotional service is direct. And that Krishna answers that Arjuna's question succinctly in text 2, and someone else is doing text 2. But I wanted to read something to you about this portion. Anyway, I'll read from, I have a book called the Gita Sabodhini, and it's a very nice book that talks about the Gita and gives the structure of the Gita and so many things. It's really nice if you ever want to get it. It's a very nice study of the Gita. I'll just read about the Bhagavad-Gita, the crown jewel of all knowledge, is like a beautiful golden box containing the most valuable secret treasure. The 18 chapters of the Gita are divided into 3 sections with 6 chapters each. The first section concerning karma yoga is the lower covering of the box. The last section about jnana yoga is the jewel-studded lid of the box. The middle section on bhakti yoga is the most excellent shining jewel inside the box, more valuable than anything in the 3 worlds, which brings Lord Krishna under control. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives this beautiful comparison. Yoga means to link one's consciousness with the supreme absolute truth. Srila Prabhupada writes, when the linking process is predominantly in fruitive activities, it is called karma yoga. When it is predominantly empirical, it is called jnana yoga. And when it is predominantly in a devotional relationship with the Supreme Lord, it is called bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga, or Krishna consciousness, is the ultimate perfection of all yogas. The essential message of the Bhagavad-Gita is bhakti, or devotional service unto the Supreme Lord Krishna. The first 6 chapters present how to attain bhakti by one's work, or karma yoga. The last 6 chapters describe how to attain bhakti by knowledge, or jnana yoga. The middle 6 chapters directly present bhakti. This fascinating structure of the Gita ultimately concludes that seeking shelter of Lord Krishna by bhakti yoga is the essence of human life. And so we have to understand that Krishna is a person in order to offer him service, in order to, render devotional service, which is the perfection of our life. So this is devotional services is what Krishna really wanted to speak about after he discussed everything else. And reading this chapter also, Krishna is so merciful. He gives so many ways in which we can think of him, offer something to him, no matter where we are in our process of development, because everyone's developing. It's just at a different rate, at a different speed, or going through a very slow process. But we were very fortunate by meeting our spiritual masters. Then we were given the direct route. We don't have to take the stairs. We have the elevator right up to the process that we needed to be engaged in. So I wanted to talk more about Krishna's personal form, because because I wasn't able to give class, which was good because they wanted to talk to Mother Parvati, but I wanted to at least share some of the thoughts I had and some of the research I had done for it. And also I want to talk about how fortunate we are. I think particularly in the West, not so much here, because people do come here to see the form of Krishna for whatever reason, whether they want something but they're coming to the temple. But sometimes I think we take sometimes for granted. We daily get to see the two-armed form of Krishna every day. We can come every day, all day long, to just stand in front and watch his form and have darshan of Lord Shyamasundar and Krishna Balaram and Gaura Nitai. And I was really mesmerized one day by Krishna's form. Usually the devotees, when they dress, the pujaris, they look so beautiful. They have like so many garlands, and they have a lot of nice jewelry on and beautiful turban pieces. But this was, I think it was last Thursday. I'm pretty sure it was last Thursday because some other events were happening then. But Krishna was actually exhibiting his beautiful form, his garland. And this is really why we can have such a nice realization when we're meditating on his form and we get to see his form. His garland was swinging to the left, and his jewelry was swinging to the left. Usually it's not. It's either hanging straight down or it's coming this way towards Srimati Radharani. But this time it was swinging to the left. And you could see his form very clearly, his very small waist. And he had a cloth wrapped around his waist. It was very snug, wrapped around his waist. He had jewelry, one single jewel around his waist, and there was a beaded circular ornament on the front. And he had, the cloth was tied down around his side, and it was coming down in a snake-like formation, and at the bottom was the cloth was made so that it looked like a flower, expanding rose, So this is like so wonderful to behold, to be able to see Krishna's form and realize that he's a person and that he's actually given us the privilege. We don't have any qualification to see Krishna. I don't have any, to just go in and barge in and just be able to see every day, to see Krishna's beautiful form. It's because I was just thinking that before I came to Krishna consciousness, I was doing meditation. And actually, I'm thinking, what was I meditating on? Actually, I don't remember whatever it was. It must have been some light or some candle or something. But this is so sublime, so superior, to actually Om Gyana Tamranda Shah Gana Gana Salakaya Chakshumli Tamyena Tasmai Shigarave Namaha. Spiritual master gives you, that knowledge, because I was so much in darkness. But to have the realization, our eyes are actually seeing the form of Krishna. And all this was made possible too by Srila Prabhupada, who made so much sacrifice to come and bring this process to the whole world. Now everyone who's coming to the temple can get to see this beautiful form of Krishna. And it's so wonderful. And I was also reading today a statement by Vaisheshika. He said that this is about reading Srila Prabhupada's books. He said, let's see if I can paraphrase. He said, Prabhupada put so much energy into writing these books. So much energy, so much time. He didn't sleep. It was his devotional ecstasies. And he said Krishna was speaking directly to him, through him. So Vaisheshika said, so we should at least try to spend almost that much energy to read his books, to read them, to actually go into reading them. And that's why I was expressing my gratitude, because I'm able to, by doing these, being able to do the classes, to delve deeper into Srila Prabhupada's books, his Srimad Bhagavatam and his Bhagavad-Gita, So it's only by Krishna's mercy and the spiritual master's mercy that we're here. We couldn't see it on our own. We're not able to do it on our own. He gave us the facility. And so this is his very confidential form. And also there's one other thing I'd like to read. This is from Satchidananda Swami. And I get his newsletter in my email. And I thought this was very beautiful as well. And it's entitled Our Primeval Need. First, he quotes a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam 6:11-26. It's a prayer to the Lord. O lotus-eyed Lord, as baby birds that have not yet developed their wings always look for their mother to return and feed them, as small calves tied with ropes await anxiously the time of milking, when they will be allowed to drink the milk of their mothers, or as a morose wife whose husband is away from home always longs for him to return and satisfy her in all respects, I always yearn for the opportunity to render direct service unto you. No. We all have a deep, often unacknowledged need, and it's for Krishna. Our problem is that we don't know that behind our desires and cravings for everything we seem to want so desperately is only one great unfulfilled need, the need for Krishna. Early in my Krishna consciousness, I heard a lecture I'll never forgot. The speaker pointed out that we have more than one heart. We have three: the physical pump, the emotional heart, and the spiritual heart. It's not usually easy to reach the spiritual heart because we are distracted by our emotional heart, which is flooded throughout life with longings and needs. We desire safety, love, shelter, comfort, and a partner. The latter is especially desired when we are young. As we get older, we strive for a good home. We seek money, recognition, and appreciation. We are tormented by various longings we're never free. If we churn these unending desires and so-called needs to see what true need lies beneath, we will find only one, the need for Krishna. Our primeval, original, deepest longings is to re-enter that lost relationship of unlimited love, acceptance, and comfort which only Krishna can give us. Unfortunately, we are rarely aware of this, and we mistake substitutes, like the craving for a partner or a luxurious home, for our main needs. I'm not saying these substitutes don't need to be considered, but what I'm saying is that there is an underlying, deeper need that gives birth to all these substitutes. And if we don't address this primeval need, we will not be happy, even if we have money, appreciation, a mansion, or inspiring partner. Let me illustrate my point. Imagine two people have a deep friendship. They stick together through thick and thin without second thoughts. The friendship spans over decades and energizes and strengthens both persons. If somehow this ideal friendship breaks due to a misunderstanding, I can guarantee you that for the rest of their lives, these two friends will feel painful regret. Now imagine another friendship that has lasted for so long you cannot measure the time. It is the best, deepest friendship possible because your friend is God, Krishna. Then somehow the relationship breaks and you find yourself transported to this world. What will be in your heart? Naturally, you will want to repair this friendship and experience again. But because our friendship with God is so ancient and our sojourn in this distracting world has been for so long, we have learned to cope with the pain of this broken relationship by seeking and attaining temporary substitutes. This is our situation. We only know substitute love. We only know substitute relationships and substitute lives. But this will never ever satisfy us. Thus, by some unimaginable good fortune, my dear devotees, we have again come in contact with Krishna in this life. We have met a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, who has given us the vital information. This is not your home. These relationships are temporary. You are actually looking for the original relationship, and here is the way to get it back. Once you have heard about this, you must be eager to pursue the relationship. You must be willing and enthusiastic that, oh, in this one life, I can go back home, back to Godhead. Surrender to this idea and do not allow your heart to be stolen again by other things. Be careful with your heart, invested in Krishna. You can do this during kirtan and japa. Don't give your heart to Maya's well-planned substitutes. Yes, as long as we're in this body, we need certain things, and it is good if we have friendships. It is necessary to have good meals and a certain amount of comfort so our body and minds can function. We teach this in the Tree of Life model, but it is essential for us to take care of our spiritual heart's primeval need. Otherwise, we will never be satisfied. Therefore, take care that your devotional heart is nourished every day. That was written by Satchidananda Swami. I thought it was very beautiful and very relevant, particularly to this chapter and performing devotional service to the Lord. So I'll end it here. That's the essence. And the rest of the chapter, will be read by other devotees. So I'm open to any questions, any additions, any comments, any criticisms, any improvements. Anyone? Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
We were speaking about devotional service. So devotional service, how we can get? Can you put some light on that?
How we can get devotional service? The minute we're initiated by our spiritual master, he's the one that gives us devotional service. Actually, as I recall, even before I understood the process or understood anything about devotional service, the minute I came in contact with my spiritual master, even though I didn't know he was my spiritual master at the time, he engaged us in, like making flower vases. The consciousness about the service wasn't very high, but still he engaged us in, like making flower vases, cooking, whatever it was. It was devotional service still. He began our walk towards Krishna. So by the spiritual master's mercy is the only way you get devotional service.
How we can practice continuously? Sometimes our minds are disturbed for this mode of mundane nature. So how continuously we be in that devotional service?
Well, by the chanting, we're asking. By the chanting, we're asking for devotional service. That's what we're saying. Please, my dear Lord, engage me in your service. So that's the impetus for continuing doing. And it requires determination. It requires faith. And if you have any doubts or questions, just like Arjuna is asking this most important question, which is the best, what's most perfect. Because along the way, we stumble. We have stumbling blocks. We have doubts. That's why the spiritual masters is. That's why advanced devotees, we take advantage of their associations and ask questions and deal with our doubts. So, and have them help us. We're still, for me, I still feel like after 20 years, I still need help. I need help in maintaining my focus and maintaining my desire and maintaining my determination to perform devotional service. Well, I can't think, I've spent so much time in the material world. And even in this life, I already know all what's going on out there. I don't need to experience it again in this lifetime. I just want to perform service to the Lord, So we struggle, sometimes we have struggles. But there's so many ways that we can get help. That's why we're in the association of devotees. That's why we shouldn't leave the association of devotees. They're our impetus, too. They're part of the impetus to continue. If we associate with anyone outside, then, that can also lead us away from devotional service. Anyone has any other inputs for?
Can I add one point in this?
Yes. Let him add. He wants to add a point to your question. Mm-hmm.
Letter of devotion, it says we should be singing.
No, you should use the mic so that other devotees can hear. I'm taking on Prabhupada. She always said use the mic.
Especially at this time of the year, there are more devotees
They're at home.
than there are
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Letter of devotion, it says we should be more sincere and serious in the devotion. Anyabhilasha sunyam.
Yes.
We can progress more devotion.
Mm.
Then Anyabhilasha shunyam.
Thank you.
When you say association of devotees, sometimes devotees we have enmity with each other. We don't like to speak or we don't like to tell them something. And if you tell them that person doesn't want to listen, just like arrogant we are. So how that we can understand the association of devotees is taking us to devotional service?
Well, as I understand it, there are 3 levels of devotees: the neophyte, can you help me, Kanishta, the Madhyam. So you have to pick your association. It tells you how to associate with each, step. The neophytes. Is it in the Nectar of Devotion or is it in Nectar of Instruction? I think it's in
Nectar of instruction.
Nectar of Instruction that tells you how to associate. Thank you. Tells you how to associate with devotees. No?
Why do we create enemy when we are 30, 40 years in the movement? Still we create enemy with each other, knowing every day morning we offer humble obeisances and ask Lord that we should be compassionate to the conditioned soul, and which that doesn't apply to us. We just verbally we are speaking, but it doesn't apply that how we should be compassionate to the conditioned soul.
Are you speaking of within devotee association, or are you? Okay. Do you want to address that for him?
I have mentioned before that when you phrase a question, you shouldn't make a general question like that, making assumptions. You should speak personally, or you should speak about something like question. Because you're inviting an offensive answer. You're making an assumption that's criticizing devotees, and then you want the speaker to agree with you. So you're inviting them to also offend the devotees. If we want to stay as uprighties, we will stay as uprighties. If we want to rise to the platform of Namabas, then we have to become determined. That's our choice. We shouldn't speak on behalf of other devotees. Everyone has to make their own choice. We have to realize there's a nice little booklet that Devi Shakti Mataji has put out. You can get it in her shop on Vaishnava. A very small booklet, but it's very nice. It talks all about the glories of devotees. So we wouldn't want to offend them because we understand how glorious devotees are and how rare devotees are.
Yes.
If we understand how rare devotees are and how fortunate we are to have their association, then we'll be much more careful.
In fact, in this chapter, Devotional Service, it talks about, it glorifies the devotees of the Lord. It glorifies the process of devotional service, and it glorifies the devotees. So we should be about glorifying devotees and become examples ourselves.
And remember, it's an offense not to become joyful upon seeing a devotee.
Yes.
I remind myself of that. Every time we see a devotee, we should be joyful.
We should be happy.
We should be happy to see him.
Any other questions? Mm.
Yeah, I play just to make a little thing in this. Even if we see some mistakes in devotees, one thing is if we priorities appreciate, see the good qualities of the devotees, it's our priority. Then even if we see some negativity or something, we have to be compassionate because that devotee already surrendered to Krishna, is making effort, endeavor to, like everyone of us, we have experience in our spiritual life. The mind is always problem. We can always focus directly on Krishna, on our services. And also due to our previous lifetimes, every one of us with different conditions in our mind, different activities with so many conditions we have from our previous lifetimes. Then if the devotee right now is already surrendered to Krishna, already chanting Hare Krishna, if somehow there has some mistakes or some negativity, so we have to apply our compassion. That see how that devotee already surrendered his life to Krishna, then it's the best. Like Srila Prabhupada says, the last bhakta who surrenders to Krishna is the best with any other intelligent materialistic person who didn't surrender to Krishna yet. Then it's it's just so valuable, like Mataji is saying, or it's just so valuable. We just appreciate that quality, how this person surrendered his life to Krishna. That means that person is just so intelligent, he decided to just surrender to Krishna, which is the best thing to do in our lives. What could be the best thing to do in our lives?
Yes.
Surrender to Krishna, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then any negativity we see, we have to see with compassion. This devotee, strength is best. This negativity is coming to conditionings, previous lifetimes. This we don't even see.
Right.
We don't even see.
It's
We
true.
just see how these devotees took the decision after how many lifetimes suffering in the material world, struggling, taking so many births, so many material bodies. Who knows which kind of material bodies? But finally, is the point now is chanting Hare Krishna, even one mantra. Then we see that, then everything becomes positive. Because at the end of the day, it depends on the mind, which kind of thoughts we have in the mind. If we are positive, everything becomes positive. If our mind is negative, no matter how many positive things we have around us, we will always see negative. Then
Yes.
it depends on our mind. Like Krishna said in the Gita, the mind could be worst enemy or can be best friend.
Also, from what I understand, I've been hearing is that if the person, it's comparison. If they're in the shower, so if the person's in the shower getting washed, no criticism should be there because they're in the shower. They're not perfect. They're in the shower. They're in the process. And also in, I can't remember which chapter, even if the devotee commits the most abominable act, he's still to be considered saintly because eventually he will come right. So we should think about that and remember that no matter what we see, we think we sing. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.